Hello, this is Carlos and welcome to the Garden of Live Flowers. This is our home studio, our little project studio. The other night I had a dream about a song. In my dream I was flipping through records, fictional, non-existent records in my imagination that aren't actual vinyl. And I was putting on some of them to hear, and one of them popped out at me as a really great song. And in my dream, I thought, oh, I remember this song. I love this song. It's so great. It doesn't exist. So today we're going to start recreating that song. Come along with me. Now, Rachel and I have always used analog technology to record. Whether we do an entire record from beginning to end using analog technology, or whether we mix the analog with digital. For this project, we're going to go completely analog. I know, huge challenge, but we're going to do it. Our first two records are actually were created all analog using this Tascam 38, or actually another Tascam 38, which we'll talk about later. But this is a newly refurbished one, picked up here in Austin. And what we're going to do is thread the tape. This is our first order of business as we set up the first tracks. So here we go. Worth noting, this is old tape. Ampex 456 was tape that was made in the late 90s, early 2000s. We purchased as much of it as we could because in that time it was actually going the way of the dinosaurs. And with the advent of Pro Tools and other DAWs, all of a sudden analog tape machines, especially in the home recording world, were definitely not in vogue any longer. So the first thing we're going to do is thread this tape. Now, folks who work with tape are quite familiar with this particular formula with Ampex 456, tendency to have sticky shed syndrome, which is where the actual oxide from the tape can come off of the actual magnetic tape. So we're going to watch out for that. It has not been an issue with this batch. This again was a batch we purchased about 20 years ago, and frankly never used. It's been sitting in the closet. So here we go. We're going to thread through the record heads, through the play heads, record heads, and then we will be set up to create our first track. Worth noting as well, when the tape machine is functioning, one of the first things to go out are the belts or the motors in these things. You know, obviously a lot of moving parts, a lot of mechanics in here. When this is engaged, you'll hear the motor fire up. Probably not over our barking dog, but if you listen closely, you can hear the motor activate. So that's a good sign. This machine has not been used in a few months. As we thread the tape, I'm just going to leave a little bit here to catch and manually wind the first couple of feet. And then when we have enough, we'll let it go on its own. Now there's lots of different things you can do. This was just calibrated recently, so we're not going to bother doing any test tones today. As you get into running tape machines more frequently, you will want to run test tones occasionally and make sure that everything is calibrated. And if you are not comfortable working on these tape machines, which I don't blame you, I'm not either. The only thing I've done is replace the belt. It is a good opportunity to get to know some of the techs in your town. It is in every major city, someone has worked on tape machines before. Typically in the bigger markets, LA, New York, and even here in Austin, we have some great techs that will attempt to maintain these machines, and we've got a really good one on our side. So here we go, we're all threaded up. I let it run about 190 here, so we're going to reset it. That'll be our new 0, and then we'll get to work making our first track. Okay, so here we are. We are going to start with with a drum machine track to get it into the tape. This is one of the cool drum machines that Rachel has picked up throughout the years. It's a little Keynote Auto Rhythm Mark 20. All kinds of presets, all kinds of pre-recorded rhythms. Standard, I want to say 70s drum machine, maybe early 80s, maybe late 70s. Who knows? We'll check. We'll see what it actually is. Now you can probably see I've got, so our friend Tascam 38, I've got this directly going into, this is a Soundcraft 16FX, 16 channel mixer board. It's definitely more than we need for the 8-track, but it's the perfect amount because you can get 8 in, 8 out without having to switch things. Now I'm doing some pretty complicated things with the patch bay that I've got over here, and I can show you in greater detail later. Just know that you can take any one of these boards, even something as simple as a small 2 or 3 channel board, even something like this Yamaha would work just fine for sending a signal into here and then directly into the tape machine. Now, what you'll see on the tape machine, so we've got this rhythm going into the console, and then the console is sending it directly to the tape machine. So you can see, well, maybe you can't see, but there is a signal coming through on our channel 1. So we have success so far. Now this will be committed directly to tape. I'm going to goof around with the rhythm here for a little bit and get the exact rhythm and tempo that I want. So we'll see what options we have. Cool little waltz there. This might be good. It's very basic. I'm choosing to do a very basic track on this first track so we can build the entire song all around it. It's not quite what I'm looking for. I think this is what we started with. You can tell we have lots of options with this drum machine. This is actually allowing me to cut the hats out entirely if I want to, or to bring them back in subtly, or to overwhelm the whole track. So you can tell already just options alone can be confounding. Now again, I'm not EQing this. I'm not sending this through a preamp. I'm sending it only through the pre's in the console and then directly into the tape machine. Should be fine. Again, it's a somewhat inconsequential track. I have a feeling this will be blended throughout the song, and we'll layer other instruments on top of this, fade this in, fade this out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, I think we're about ready. Now, do make sure you can get a little bit of red here on the on the Tascam, but do make sure you're not overwhelming it, that you're not slamming it to where it's all red the entire time. There are certain uses, there are certain ways that can be beneficial, but for this, we are just going to let it go. So, got our pitch control set. We have a variable pitch here, so you can adjust it, make the tape slower or faster. But for this, we're just gonna lay a standard track and we're gonna record it right in the middle. I believe it's 15 IPS for these Tascam 38s, and then we'll see what we get. I do want to give it a little more juice, so we're gonna push it just a little more. Yeah, now you can't see it, but it is slamming right up against the +3. So we're gonna dial it back just a little bit. And we are between 0 and +3. So we are going to let this run. Now, as you know, direct inputs won't catch the dog barking or the thunder outside. When we start recording softer instruments, when we start recording those, obviously we'll have to be a little more considerate about what's happening in our world. But I'm gonna try to, as best we can, start this on the 1. Now I've charted this song out already, so we'll be right back with the end result. All right, so we're done tracking our drum machine part. We are now going to see what we got. Ooh, I don't like the speed of this motor for rewind. Typically we'll have a lot faster rewind. So we may need to get this motor checked out after all. But it's making it. We will see what we get. Now we do have a 0 return here. And then we'll see what information we have when we play it back. All right, so again, we've got our signal committed. On these Tascam 38s, when you're recording, this is activated. When you're not, it is not. And then we will give it a shot, see what we got. We have sound. Now, analog is much more forgiving than digital. Typically with digital, you cannot peak at all. You cannot go into the red at all. I've got this, again, between 0 and +3 at the highest level. And then when it goes into the board, we don't even have it past 0. So it's not stressing it at all. But we got our drum machine. And that is the first track. That's gonna be the basis for the entire song. Now we can have some fun. Okay, as y'all can tell, we have some bad news already. This motor is being inconsistent. Can you hear it? It'll slow down and speed up. This is a problem. I don't have to tell you. We do have some spare tape decks that our good friend worked on for us recently. So we'll see what we can get out of those. Be right back. Okay, so we've got the backup machine. You can't see it, it's out of frame right now. We've got the backup machine all hooked up and playing the same tape, the same reel. You can hear the tempo still fluctuating, which tells me either it was recorded with a fluctuating tempo, or even this drum machine was fluctuating. Now, the way that this was rewinding, it tells me that most likely this guy's the culprit. So we'll see about how this one rewinds, but what I'd like to do is record it again because we have the same setup, the same inputs, the same outputs, and we'll see how it goes. So be right back. Okay, we fired up the drum machine. Already you can tell the tempo is consistent. It's not the drum machine. I have a feeling this guy will need to go to the shop. So we're gonna try it on the second reel, see if we get any better results, and then we'll see what we can do. Okay, so we've committed the track. Go to repo mode. We're gonna see if it's any more even than the last machine. Ah, much better. Sorry, friend. We're gonna have to get you some attention. Okay, while we're here, we're also gonna check the tape heads. Y'all heard me talk about sticky tape syndrome earlier, or sticky tape shed syndrome. I took a quick glance, and I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Okay, so it might be pretty hard to see, but I do think we have some tape shed over here. So I've got a little isopropyl alcohol, 99%. There are professional tools. You don't have to use a Q-tip. I highly recommend you don't, but it's all we got right now. But we're gonna see if any of this comes off. And I can tell you already, we've got some tape shed. So what we're gonna do before we continue, I'm gonna bake this reel overnight. You bake it at a low temperature for a long amount of time. I'm gonna clean this tape head up, even though this is going to the repair shop. And then we'll start again with the other machine tomorrow.